Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Huge news. The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow were all renewed for new seasons. So let's talk about what's going to happen next. The real surprise is that the CW renewed every single series that it has with two exceptions, and the only reason there are two shows that it did not renew is because they haven't premiered yet this season. Every other show that it renewed is either in the middle of its season or has just started, like Legends of Tomorrow. So I'm mostly going to be talking about Flash stuff in this video. I'll do a separate Arrow video probably this weekend. I haven't done an Arrow trailer video in a little while, so I'll talk about it then, because even though Arrow, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow all share the same universe, they cross over a lot, they're all going to have their separate storylines. Although I do think that in a future season, like whenever one of these shows gets ready to end, if they want to live dangerously, or maybe they start taking a bunch of drugs, they might try to do some big storyline that crosses over all three shows. But we got to talk about what's happening on The Flash now for Season 3. We haven't even got to the end of Season 2, so we don't know how they're going to resolve this Zoom storyline. Obviously, they're going to have to stop him somehow. There are a number of different comic book ways they could do that, but each season they tend to go a little off comic book, so it's kind of hard to predict. Like, they could trap Zoom in the Speed Force, and if they're spinning in some Edward Claris Golden Age Reverse Flash stuff, they could have him turn into pure energy. That's kind of what happened to the Edward Claris Reverse Flash. In the comics, when the Flash chased him down for the last time, he ran so fast that he became pure energy, but then later materialized out of the Speed Force and inhabited the body of Max Mercury. I do think that we'll see a version of Max Mercury on the show sometime in the future. We have Mercury Labs. We'll have to see Max Mercury at some point. But because they spent so much time setting up Earth 2 during Season 2, I think without them completely recycling the plot lines from Season 2, we'll continue to see a lot of Earth 2 villains in Season 3. But as was the case with Season 1 of The Flash to Season 2, I think Season 2 to Season 3, they'll try to mine some new big area to surface villains from. So we're talking Gorilla City, things that they only teased during Season 2. If you guys missed it, I did a video earlier this week about how I think they might end The Flash, but that's after Season 7, Season 8, like the very last episode of The Flash that they ever make, where he becomes the bolt of lightning that gave him powers. In between that, you have Season 3, Season 4, Season 5, and so on, so they need different villains. What is the next villain that they could do? Well, for this, I'm actually going to make a lateral move to Arrow, because Mark Guggenheim tweeted at me like this little funny comment when I was like, hey, why don't we make Donald Trump the villain for Arrow Season 5? And he was just being funny, but he said too ridiculous. But he was also being a little truthful, because the villains on Arrow need to be based in reality. So really the joke was about Donald Trump being even crazier than a comic book villain. The villain needs to be believable, which is why it's really hard to do cosmic big bads like Darkseid, even the Anti-Monitor. It's just completely unrealistic at this point. The bonus that the Flash has working for it is that they can do powers, so you can actually do some pretty fantastic stuff that you might not be able to do on Arrow. But there are a couple story devices that I would like to see them do at some point, like the Black Racer. The problem with doing the Black Racer, who's kind of like the personification of death for the speedsters, is that they did a villain with a black suit this season, so one, that's a strike against that, and two, the idea of the Flash fighting against his own death, literally fighting against his own death, is almost too fantastic. You want a physical villain that you can actually reach out and touch, and whose motivation also flows from the same logic that is driving the hero during that season. So we haven't got to the end of the Zoom storyline, so there's a lot of things that we still don't know about him, but you could think about it this way. Barry's big search this season is to find happiness in spite of what the Reverse Flash told him. No matter how much you win, you'll never be happy. And Barry's like, F that, I will totally find happiness. Zoom is probably also looking for happiness. We don't know why, but as far as we know, his happiness is derived from being the fastest speedster. So he's searching for more and more speed, trying to take it from the Flash now. So it's too soon to tell what Barry is going to be searching for in Season 3, like what his own internal conflict is going to be. But whatever the villain is, it's also going to flow from that same logic. So it's probably going to be another human villain, and because we're only in Season 3, I do think that they'll try to use another speedster or a twist on another speedster. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get to Arrow Season 4 though, if they decide to go with their very first big bad that is not a speedster. But please, oh please, at some point I would love to see the Flash wear this comic book suit that he wears when he becomes the God of Death. So I'm going to explain how he got this suit, just careful for spoilers from Justice League Darkseid War. What you're looking at here, probably the most badass version of a Flash suit that we've ever seen. What happened in the comics is that the Anti-Monitor got into a fight with Darkseid. He goaded Darkseid into summoning the Black Racer, the aspect of death, to kill the Anti-Monitor for him, but then the Anti-Monitor, who has the anti-life equation, flowing in his veins. He is literally the embodiment of death. Forces the Black Racer, whose powers are derived from death, to merge with Barry Allen, so Barry Allen becomes the new host for death. He becomes the new god of death. Already you can see exactly why the Flash TV show cannot do this. It is way too crazy, and they haven't even done any of the new gods yet, which I would totally love to see them do on the TV show. They could do a couple of the minor ones. I think they're saving the big ones for the movies though. But let me know in the comments, who do you want to see be the big villain for The Flash Season 3 without really knowing how The Flash Season 2 is going to end? So I know a lot of you want to see Eddie come back and be the villain of a future season. The problem with that, I'll say right off the bat, is that Quantico, the TV show that he is a main cast member on, just got renewed for a new season. Eddie will be back in this season though in a flashback, but that episode won't be happening for a while. So remove Eddie from the equation and just think of any other character that you might want. I would love to see a version of Max Mercury. I'm not expecting the villain to come from Earth 2 because the villain from Season 2 came from Earth 2, so that's kind of redundant. So here's the thing, if each new season of The Flash is about cranking the crazy way up, think about a villain manifesting directly from the Speed Force. Because we've already done the wolf in sheep's clothing coming from the future. We've already done the wolf in sheep's clothing coming from Earth 2. What is the other kind of villain that they could do? And they've already done the thing where a friend turns into a villain or a friend is secretly masquerading as a villain. So I'm not expecting Daniel Panabaker from Earth 1 to become Killer Frost and be the big bad of Season 3. Like the next step up on the ladder of crazy would be to have the Speed Force itself manifest a villain. And you're really talking Edward Claris in the body of Max Mercury, but that does kind of sound like Eobard Thawne in the body of Harrison Wells. So whatever they end up doing, I think it's going to be really hard for them to do something that's completely unique that they haven't done before. But giveaway time. Congratulations to this week's DC giveaway winner, Flaming Guitars. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. If you don't know how to do that, it's the message tool on the About page. One of these days, I think I'm going to have to re-explain how all the giveaways work because there's so many new people. So many of you guys are new on the channel and I'm so happy, but that just means there's probably like a lot of people who have no idea how the giveaways work. So no worries there. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here for my Captain America Civil War trailer. Yay, Spider-Man, so happy that he's here. And you can click here for my Arrow Grave bonus video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.